yeah, okay. As I say with these things, as long as everything is working the way that it should be working, we are now live, and I need y'all to know that we have done something we've never done. We just started the Melanin Chat, and Audra is not cackling. Look at us. Look at God. Okay.
I'm stressed over here.
You stressed, homie. I'm stressed. Anyway, hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. If you've never seen me before, my name is Chelsea, and I write books about Black girls who aren't all that nice. And I'm here today, as always, with the wonderful, the amazing, the one and only Audra Russell. And we are here to bring some melanin to your pages. And you guys, it has
had caffeine, y'all.
Sure have. Still drinking it.
You know, just letting y'all know. We're in for a ride. We're in for a ride.
And it's gonna be fun. So, shout out to everyone who came in the chat. Y'all are over here. I have two screens now, so the camera's over here and the other screen's over here. So if you see me looking other places, I am not crazy. There's just another screen over here.
I'm so jealous of your setup. I'm in here with one screen trying to minimize all these damn windows so that I can see my chat and see the video and see us talking real time. And yeah.
I mean, it was necessary. So Ben has the other screen now, but yeah. Shout out to Ash and La and J Monet who all came in. Hello, good morning. Read Love Listen is here. My mother is here. Hey Ma, how you doing? Yeah. So, hello everyone. Glad y'all made it. Sorry for being late. Because I have two screens now, I had to rearrange how me and Audra showed up so that we actually showed up in our appropriate squares on the chat. So it wouldn't have to be like it was last time with me just being like, let me just throw these things up on the thingamajig right quick.
Yep.
So
we got some good topics for y'all today.
We do. We do.
Okay. One that's a little sad, but the rest is all like,
yeah. So we also had some suggestions because I asked if you hadn't seen in the chat, are there any bookish topics that y'all want us to cover today? We did get a couple of suggestions. So I'm going to go ahead and type those down real quick so that I don't forget. So
okay, well, while she's doing that, I will take a moment to talk about, and Chelsea, what?
What I do?
Nothing. I'm looking for her name.
Echo Brown.
Echo Brown. Okay, I don't know if I had never heard of her until I saw someone post about it, but Echo Brown was a Black author, and she passed away yesterday. Which was very sad and unfortunate. And I was sitting in the parking lot getting ready to go into the Food Lion and saw that. And then I saw this long blog post on her website that broke my heart where she's talking about her kidney transplant and this thing where she went through in Canada where she was in the hospital and then they took her to another hospital. And when it was time for her to go back to the ambulance didn't want to take her back there because they thought she didn't have money because she was French. And then when she said, I'm American, they were like, oh, but they still like she went through this whole horrible thing and it was heartbreaking. And unfortunately, she lost her battle to kidney disease yesterday. So you may know her books. Her one book, it's The Chosen One.
Also,
and she's
Black Girl Unlimited.
Black Girl Unlimited. So, just a reminder to not take life for granted because your health can be gone in an instant. Your life can be gone in an instant. So let's just, that's another small thing. The interim president of Temple University, she passed away suddenly. They were doing an event. She was moderating it. It was somebody else's memorial service. She collapsed on stage. They carried her out. Nobody called 911, And then there was another Black woman that just passed away the other day who was also like a CEO of something. So this is just a reminder to y'all. Please do not give 500% to these companies that y'all do not own. Put your 8 hours in and clock the hell out and take care of your health, okay? And even if you're working for yourself, do your 8 hours and stop and take care of your health because especially if you're working for somebody else, you die, honey, they're going to close ranks and move right the hell on without you. So please take care of yourselves.
I add in the caveat if you're working for yourself, because working for yourself, you do have to put in a lot more than the 8 hours of a regular company.
Yeah.
But definitely
You got
take
to
care
take
of yourself. You have to take care of yourself. You have to schedule those breaks. You have to be mindful of what you're putting your body and your mind through, because it is a lot. It is stressful. And I've talked about this before on the podcast, I think on the most recent episode, but like if you don't make time for yourself, everything else is going to suffer anyway. Like you have to put in the time to be like, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to work on myself, because like your life is still going to go on. There's still things that have to happen. There's still like, you still have to be a whole person. And if you are not taking care of yourself, that is going to be like literally the worst thing you can do. And that is a lesson that I had to learn real time. Well, not really, because y'all know how I am. The way I'm set up, I will quit something quick, fast, and in a hurry. I don't care if it is for myself. Okay. But that being what it is, kind of to add on to what Audra was saying, obviously it's an incredibly sad thing for us to lose someone, especially, you know, when you see their battle or hear about their battle, you know. But there's also the reality that, you know, when I was a teacher, one of the women who I worked with, her name was Miss Showgreen. When I tell you that I watched this woman in real time, like throwing up and collapse in front of second graders, and all they did was take her to the nurse's office, call her husband, and send another teacher to cover her class, like nothing had happened, and they went back to talking about shapes. It's like the world will continue to turn, and you making yourself sick is not going to stop anything. It's not going to stop anyone, and it's worth being mindful of that, because baby,
And I think
care.
especially if you work for yourself, because my husband works for himself, I work for myself, and I had a business before I had a podcast. And let me tell you something, you still need to set them hours. I understand that you have more to do when you work on your own, but you still need to set them hours, and you need to set a stopping point and say, okay, anything that's not critical is getting done tomorrow, because you can't run a business if you are, you know, if you are running your health into the ground. So
yeah, you do.
Just a reminder, we gotta, especially if you work for somebody else, 8 hours, done. Take care of yourself.
Clock in, clock out. And if you work for yourself, you have to have hard boundaries with yourself too, because at the end of the day, you're just boss and employee, and the employee side of you needs to clock out. Okay. But
Clock out.
but yeah, that being said, y'all, we have a lot to talk about today. So shout out to Audra, because she really came up with these topics off the top of the dome this morning. She's like, let's talk about this, let's talk about that, let's talk about that. I was like, okay, let's do this. Anyway, we got a lot to cover. That's why I was just like, we gonna cover everything today. Everything. So this is your reminder, if you haven't already, to go ahead, like, and subscribe to the channel so that you'll miss when we do this again, because it's free. And if the subscribe button hurts you, let me know, and we will take it up with YouTube together. Okay? But before we get into all of this, we are going to cover the Melanin Spotlights for today. And if you've been on the channel, you should be already familiar with these books. But
yeah,
we are going to go ahead and cover it anyway. So, as always, I'm going to let Audra go first, because she likes to be mad about it. And
so much.
I was going first. I'm going second. Have at it.
So, y'all know how I do. And whenever I have an episode that drops on Tuesday, the book that I talk about in the episode is always the spotlight for me. So, y'all might already know that today the episode with Chelsea dropped for We Are Dying Gods, and I have to tell y'all, it's a great episode. We got into it. There are spoilers, so if you have not read book 1 or you have read book 1 but have not read book 2, you want to approach that episode with caution, because there will be spoilers. To show y'all how much of a fan I am of Chelsea,
look at all this stuff.
I have We Are the Origin in paperback and hardcover, and We Are Dying Gods in hardcover. I need to get a paperback one, because I need this one to have its mate. She's lonely. She's lonely.
I have them in stock.
I need to buy it. I need to get it. All right, so We Are Dying Gods. It says, From the ruins of Freya's temple, a new era of gods have arisen. Carrying the power of those who came before them, they're tasked with doing what their predecessors could not, protecting the realm from the time beings who want to see it destroyed. It's an impossible task that leaves them with no room for failure. But when their greatest enemy offers to become their ally, offering up Freya's darkest secrets in exchange for their trust, Brandy begins to question who it is they should be protecting the realm from, the time beings or the gods. Weighed down with more questions than answers, Brandy chooses the path of greatest destruction. She'll lead the rebellion against the queendom, have Sarah bid for the throne, and escort Adam Burtonall to the gods herself. And anyone who defies her will learn what it means to face the true wrath of the gods. Y'all know this book was everything. If you've read it, if you haven't read it, I need you to get your life together and read it. Because it was amazing. It was wonderful. It was all of that in a bag of chips. I was screaming at this book. I wanted to throw this book, but it was too pretty to throw. I was yelling at folks. I was saying, what? The whole time? Yes. Yes. Yes.
Well.
So, that's my book.
And I was so excited. I'm just over here grinning and cheesing because, like, I love it. I love that she loves my book, y'all. So I feel like it's only right that if her book is We Are Dying Gods, that my book on my channel is We Are the Origin.
Duh. Yeah.
So if you guys have been on the channel, if y'all know me at all, y'all already know what this book is about. But on the off chance that you are new here, first of all, welcome. I'm so glad you made it to this corner of the internet. Second of all, this is the first book of the Wrath of the Gods series. It is paperback, hardback, ebook, and audiobook. Get into it whichever way makes you happiest. And y'all probably already know the description from the back of the book, but I'm going to read it anyway. And it says, when you stand before the gods, tell them Brandy sent you. Forced into a life of serving the queendom before she was old enough to deny them, Brandy was a cultivator of death and the queen's own blade, reserved only for the disloyal and the blasphemous. Crafted by the queendom and forged in blood, she was nothing more than a tool. She was never meant to have an opinion on whose blood she shed, never meant to question whose back she was pressed into or whose throat she was slipped across. But when Freya, the goddess of life and judger of souls, demands that she protect rather than destroy, Brandy has no choice but to obey her new orders. And while abandoning the queendom comes with its own set of problems, being hunted by the people she once called family is the least of her worries when the gods reveal to her an enemy who exists beyond the reach of their power. So, with the helpless princess in tow, she begins her search for a way to fight this impossible enemy and save the realm from destruction, because she is the wrath of the gods, and it was foolish for anyone to forget that. So, read this one first. Read that one second, okay? And then go listen to Audra's podcast. And if you have already read this one and you're like, but Chelsea, I haven't read the second one yet, you can still go listen to Audra's podcast because I've been on it for We Are the Origin too. And it's that one for the book one is spoiler free. So get into it. But yeah.
This one was supposed to be spoiler free too, but Chelsea was like, Audra, right in the middle episode, we need to talk about some things. I was like, okay.
But the thing is, I feel like with a sequel, it's so much harder to do spoiler free because it's a sequel. Like, it's based off of the fact that you read the first book. And I'll be real with y'all. If y'all have not read We Are Dying Gods, honestly, I can only talk about the first chapter without spoilers because everything beyond that is basically like, there's a lot that happens in this book. So
it
everything
took me
beyond
forever
that.
to come up with questions, and I came up with them, and we asked them all. But it was just there was moments in between that she was like, "Look."
You know what? I could see it. I synced it in your eyes when you was talking to me, and I could see you trying to word things in a way that was like, okay, they haven't read the book. They haven't read the book. How do I talk about this, but they haven't read the book? And I was like, nah, we're going to do this for the people who have read the book and encourage them to go read it. So, that being said, you guys, if you refresh this page, you'll see that the links to both the books are down in the description box below. I mean, they're always down there because they're my books, but they're in the description box below. You can get them from the Melanin Library, which will help support the Melanin Library, or you can get them directly from my site, in which case it will come signed with artwork, bookmark, sticker, all the good stuff while supplies last. Because once the stickers and stuff are gone, I am not buying any more of those because they're expensive. So get that before it's all gone. And yeah. So That being said, thank you, Audra, for having me on your podcast. I hope you guys go listen to it after the Melanin Chat. And we got things to talk about. So
let's start with the non-drama stuff first. So because once we get onto the drama stuff, we gonna go off the rails. So I put together 5 books that are released today. And so they are Nubia the Reckoning, which is the final book in the Nubia duology, which is the book. It's written by Omar Epps and Clarence Haynes. I have the first one. I should have brought it in here with me so y'all could see the cover. It's really pretty. Quick blurb for that. A powerful saga of 3 teens, the children of refugees from a fallen African utopia who must navigate their newfound powers in a climate-ravaged New York City. So that's Nubia the Reckoning. That's out today. Vanessa Riley, Murder in Westminster on paperback. The hardback came out last year. The paperback released today. I have Kiss and Spell. Y'all, I want to get this duology because I had never heard of it before. But Kiss and Spell by Celestine Martin. It's the second in the Elemental Love duology. The first book was called Wishful Thinking. I don't know if any of y'all heard of either one, but hit me up in the comments. But the blurb for Kiss and Spell is, in this spellbinding romantic comedy from a series about a family of witches, a lovelorn small-town witch helps a handsome prince break free from a curse, all while trying not to let their feelings for each other bubble to the surface. Then there's The Memory Thieves by Danielle Clayton, which I forgot to get the blurb for that one. And y'all know Danielle Clayton. She wrote The Bells, among other things. And then we have The Unsettled by Ayanna Mathis. And it says, from the best-selling author of The 12 Tribes of Hattie, a searing multi-generational novel set in the 1980s in racially and politically turbulent Philadelphia, and in the tiny town of Bonaparte, Alabama, a mother fighting for her sanity and survival. So, those are the 5 books that I found. Now, to the drama. While we were looking for books, I found this book called Madame Voodoo by this person, A.W. Jackson. Now, the cover gave me pause because the black woman was drawn in a way that was very kind of fetishizing. I was like, that's interesting. When I tried to look up this author, the only A. Jackson came up was that slave-owning Andrew Jackson. Okay, so I'm like looking, and I saw the publishing house, but there was usually like the publishing house, they'll have pictures of the authors. There was none of that on the website. And when I went to Goodreads, the other thing that gave me pause, which Chelsea also found, was a review from a white woman saying, I loved this African-American main character and something about vertigo. And I was like, first of all, them 2 things, what? And second of all, white folks never relate to anything.
That is right. a common theme, and then we've talked about it on the chat before. But it's just one of those things where, like, when it comes to reviewing books, one of the things that comes up a lot when there is a black girl specifically as the protagonist, a lot of times people will say, like, "Oh, I couldn't relate to the story," and it's just like, well, what didn't you relate to? The fact that she's supernatural, the fact that she's going on an adventure, the fact that she's in school, or the fact that she's like loved, or like what part of this was like unrelatable? Would love to know. Like, I would really love to just sit down and have a conversation with people who say it's unrelatable, who read, especially for people who read within the genre. It's one thing if you're like, oh, I don't read fantasy, and my first fantasy was like We Are the Origin. Okay, well, everybody in the book is black. So I maybe if that was like your first foray into any type of diverse fantasy. But at the same time, it's like it's usually people who read within the genre. And so I'm like, okay, so what part of this was confusing for you? What part of it just felt disconnecting? I would love to know. Love to know.
So, all that to say that Madame Voodoo, with the black woman on the cover and the black main character, is written by a white man.
And the way we had to do research for this, because look, y'all, when I tell y'all, here's the thing about the Melanin Library that I want y'all to understand. When I say that we verify blackness before we put any book on there, when I tell you that I'll just send me the Goodreads link, and she was like, I don't know, I can't find anything about this author. I was like, bet, give me like 15 minutes. When I tell you I was reading through those Goodreads, I was like, oh, okay, this person is thanking the publisher and NetGalley. Let me go find this publisher. The publisher does not have any pictures. And I'm like, that's, first of all, from a author standpoint, ooh, it's really sketch. Why don't you have any pictures of your authors on your thing? Because 9 times out of 10, when I work with traditionally published authors, 9 times out of 10, their agent will send me their author profile on their website because it has all the download links for their most recent bio, for their picture, for their book. They will have all that information for you. And I was like, wait a second. Where's the information? And so I was like, okay, let me go back to this Goodreads. And so I was reading through it. And as I was reading through it, I was like, oh, okay, wait a second. This person did an act. This is the author's username. So I went to Twitter and I was like, okay, they're not on Twitter. Okay, weird, but whatever. Everybody don't deal with Twitter. So I was like, it has to be some type of social media. So I go to Instagram and I put it in there. I was like, ooh, what has we found? And I was just like, this is a whole
See, she better than me because I put in A.W. Jackson and nothing came up with like that I could, and I was just like, okay, so Chelsea found it. Chelsea got magic fingers.
The way I will do the research, I will find you if you are to be found, okay? The internet, we millennials, we're real, okay? FBI, Facebook, and Instagram. There we go. We're going to find you. We're going to find you. But no, I was like, this is a whole white man. And I was just, and he's like proudly saying, this is my book. Go out and buy it. And he has a TikTok too. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I was just like, and on top of that, you guys, it's not just a black woman in the book who's doing voodoo. A white man wrote about a black woman doing voodoo. He wrote about a black queer woman doing voodoo. And I'm like, you are so far out of your lane, homie. I don't even know if we're on the same road anymore. Like, wow. Oh, baby. After chat. If you're in the after chat, I will happily drop a link to that so y'all can see what I'm talking about. Because I definitely for sure took a screenshot and sent it to Audra. And I was like, this is who it is. Because we're messy like that. I'm sorry. Welcome if you did not know that.
Yeah, well, but that brings us to another point, is that there is no excuse in this day and age with all the tools out there that authors period, but black authors specifically should not have some kind of a website. You could do Wix for free. There are free versions of WordPress. You can, even if you just like do a small subscription to WordPress, you can build your own website with their templates for little of nothing. And, it just strikes me as odd in this day and age. If you are an author, that website is your credibility. If people look up your book, 9 times out of 10, they're going to go look for your website. And if they can't find your website, they're going to be like, they're either going to think you're not black, or they're going to be like, okay, well, this author isn't really serious. And they might even think that your book isn't good, especially if you're an indie author, because your website is your website is your business card, period. Yes, you can have an Instagram and all that, but you need to have a website.
No. That's like serious because part of the reason why the Melanin Library exists, right, is because the amount of research that I had to do, it took like, 10 minutes. But the thing is, it took me 10 minutes for one book just to find out that no, it's not written by a black person. And a lot of people are not going to do that research. They're going to see a black woman on the cover. They're going to see that she's queer and that they're going to see that it's about voodoo. And they're going to assume that this is written by someone who has that lived experience. And it's just like, no, like, I want you to be able to make informed decisions. And here's the thing. I'm not bashing the book. I'm really not. Everybody has agency when they are born into this world. You have the decision to make your own choices. You have the decision to do what you're going to do for yourself, right? Move according to your brain and your ideas, right? But at the same time, for Black readers specifically, if you're on this channel, if you have found us, if you found the Melanin Library, if you found anything that I do, y'all know that I'm about Black people writing their stories authentically, both as an author and as a reader, because that is what I like to see. I want to know that I am supporting someone who looks like me when I purchase a book like this. And so I like to allow people to make informed decisions. Now, if we're telling you this and you're still going to go read the book, that's your decision. You have your agency. But I don't want you to pick it up thinking like, especially if you are, Black and queer, a Black and queer woman, to be like, oh, I'm picking up a book that's going to have my lived experience reflected within the pages, and then you be disappointed and be like, it's not, So that's why we do the research. While Audra and I are very much like, we want you to know it's not about bashing people. It's not about being dramatic. It's not about stirring up drama. None of that. It's about helping people actually support the readers or support the authors that they want to support, and actually being about it Also, before
Why?
Audra, 2 seconds. If you're in the after chat, if you jump into the messaging for that we usually have that stream, I dropped the screenshot and the link to the website so y'all can see exactly what we are talking about. I dropped the screenshot. If you're not in the after chat, this is a great time to sign up. Patreon.com/Writing Melanin gets you in, and it gets you into all the juicy details that we don't talk about on the live. So there you go. Audra, back to you.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
My bad, homie. I was gonna forget if I didn't say it right then and there.
Well, we'll just go to the comments. So Relove Lista says there's a lot of suspicious books online, especially in fantasy, where I'll look them up and it's a white man or woman, but they buy those covers with a black magical person. Ash Writes Lot says, you have to know you are doing something wrong if you have to hide. D. Roussel says, I think if black authors were writing for black readers, they wouldn't hide their identity. If they do hide, I almost wonder, question them. Romance books, I could understand a little. That's what I was going to say. That I don't understand. I understand people say, when people say write what you know, there's no way a white man knows what it is to be a black queer woman, especially one who practices voodoo.
No.
Okay, now I understand, people write about aliens and shit like that, and you don't know that because we don't know for sure that aliens exist or not. So you
did you know aliens are real? They've been showing us that all over the place.
Yeah, for real. I mean, I believe in them, but that's another story. But it's when a white person writes a story like this, you are shutting the doors for black women who are queer, who maybe even know about voodoo. You are shutting the doors on them being able to have a book in the traditional publishing world, because the publishing industry would say, well, we already have a book about that. So don't write stories about things that you don't know about. There's no way that this white man knows about being a black queer woman who practices voodoo, and giving her a name like Nkechi. That's just wrong to me, because I'm like, so do you think that black people all have names that sound like that? There are Nkechis, but there are also Audras and Chelseas and Lisas and Samanthas and Amandas. It's just everything about that book. Like I said, when I looked at it, the first thing that gave me pause, which made me start looking to see if this author was black, was the way she's drawn. Like, her breasts are just drawn in that fetishizing, way.
I didn't even know that she was supposed to be like a regular person, because she has elf ears, and so I was like, okay,
yeah. So, but you're closing, when you write that, you're taking away from black people who have the lived experience to write stories like that. And that's my problem with this, because we all know that the publishing industry marginalizes us systematically. They only let some of us through the gates. And when you have white people writing these black characters, and honestly, they're writing these black characters not because they care about black culture. They're writing it because they know that diversity is the in thing, and they know that publishing houses are supposedly trying to diversify. So they're trying to write so that they can get money. And it's disingenuous, and I can't stand it. And Chelsea had to talk me down off the ledge, because I was going to blow this author up, tag him and everything. She was like, I wouldn't. So I just threw a shady post up there saying, look, there's a book with this cover. And if you're trying to support black authors, this ain't it. So, because it's ridiculous.
It is. And also, Uzumaki and Amanda, y'all came in late. We were talking about, what was the name of the book? I don't even remember the name of the book. I think it's called Madame Voodoo. It's called Madame Voodoo by A.W. Jackson. And it's basically a book by a black author. A book with a black character that is written by a white author. And we are going to get into that too, but I want to say this while it's on my mind, because it's something that has been very weighing heavily on me as of late. And that is, the conversation generally comes up of, what does it mean to be writing outside of your lane? And Audra, you put it very specifically. It's just like, there are lived experiences that are real, right? If someone has a real, genuine lived experience, if that is not your lived experience, stay out of it. It's the equivalent of mind your business, honestly. And it's just one of those things that really gets up under my skin, that really kind of irritates me, because I also had an interview with an author, and I'm not going to name them, but they came on the podcast and we had this whole conversation. The whole time I was talking to them, they presented themselves, their public persona was that they were queer. And so their books are all queer. But when I was talking to this person, they were like, I don't identify as queer. I have never been a part of this community. I just wanted to see diversity and therefore I wrote it. And so for me, I was just like, wait a second. If this isn't your lived experience, you can't just make that up. You can't just say, oh, it's just like writing fantasy. The difference between writing fantasy is that fantasy does not exist, okay? It is literally made up. But you as a non-queer person writing a queer story, that is a lived experience. You cannot just make up those experiences and claim them for yourself. It is the same thing if you are a Black person trying to write an experience about an Asian person living in Asia. That is a lived experience that you cannot just take from someone else, especially when the conversation has always been publishing does not like our stories. And therefore, if they're willing to publish one, someone who does not have that experience taking up space in that particular conversation is not only unnecessary, but it's rude and is disrespectful to everyone else who is writing those stories and trying to tell an authentic story. That is why I have the very strong stance of, if it's not your lived experience, you need to stay out of it, especially if you are writing contemporary. It's completely different if you're writing fantasy, okay? Those are made up world, made up stakes, made up scenarios.
Everything.
that is completely different from saying, hey, I'm going to write a story about immigrants, even though I've never been one, never lived as one. My parents are not. No one I know in actual life is an immigrant. But I feel entitled to write the story because the industry that I work in is looking for stories like this. And therefore, I feel slighted because that's not my lived experience. The thing is, if you are in a place of privilege to the point where you can feel slighted because they're looking for something that's not you, that means there's already so much space for you that they have to make space for someone else. So like, be mindful of that and stop making it about you when it's not about you. But that is my rant. That is my tangent. I'm going to come back and we're going to keep it moving. But that's something that really gets under my skin, because I also feel like the conversation needs to be had that even as a Black author, there are still spaces that you can be stepping into that you have no business being in. And that is also a very real thing. It's also why I personal opinion, right, don't really deal with Black authors who write white characters, because that's not your lived experience either, you know? So it's just like,
you could have like a little teeny character. Like I had a white real estate agent that, in my book that was helping them find this, but all she did was show them stuff and was like, yeah, there's a lot of plantations around here, but I didn't have like a whole ass world for her or anything like that. So,
and the thing is, it's like, you as a human being should be interacting with people who are outside of your personal viewpoint. That's real, right? Interacting with someone and saying that I can tell their whole story is two completely different things. And I generally do not rock with any author who's like, the only way that I can make money, the only way I can be successful, the only story that I can tell is one that is not mine. Baby, I ain't got nothing for you. Like, do what you need to do. Agency, right? Make your own decisions. But me, personally, my platform, who I am, I'm not about it. Because it's just like, why can't you tell your story in a way that hasn't been told yet? Because the thing is about being an author, no one can tell your story the way that you can tell your story. So why is it that if you are a Black woman, you think that the only way to be interesting is to tell the story about a white woman? That is interesting to me.
That's that white supremacy, brainwashing that we all have to some degree.
Yeah.
And you have to address it, because really, do you want to sell your soul? Do you want to write about white characters just so you can make money? Because then what are you doing? That's called being a sellout.
You gotta be mindful of it. And Also, we're going to get off of this because y'all know me and Audra, we have very passionate opinions. Like, y'all can tell that from the way that we run our platforms and the things that we do. So, in case you're new here, you're just popping in. Hi, Chelsea. I write books about Black girls who aren't all that nice. I run the Melanin Library, which is an online database of books written by Black authors. I also run the Written Melanin podcast, which talks about being a Black and indie author and also hosts Black authors. Black, blackity, black, all day, every day, right? Audra runs Between the Reads. Also, blackity black every day. Same thing with Read It Black to Me. The same thing with, is it Reading on Code or Keeping on Code?
Staying on
code. I was almost there.
Almost there, yeah.
Which is also blackity black. We are pro black authors because this industry needs more people supporting Black authors because there are so many people who still don't know about them. So y'all know how we feel, so we're going to slightly move on, but also we need to talk about the fact that there are a lot recently in the space, because we're getting into the drama. Was there anything else that we need to talk about?
I wanted to talk about the Black Indie newsletter that I want to start.
Yes. Yes. Go ahead.
Yes. So, while I was looking for books, because I follow several bookstagrammers who post the releases every Tuesday, but damn if I can ever find Black indie authors on those lists.
Yeah,
and
it's hard.
Damn if I can find anywhere on the internet, releases about Black indie authors. So another branch of Between the Reads is going to be, I'm going to have a newsletter. I don't know whether it's just going to be like in the form of posting it on Instagram or that plus having a physical newsletter, but I'm going to start posting Black indie author releases on Tuesdays if I can find them, because that's the challenge, is that Black indie authors don't they don't post until like it's release day. Like a lot of them don't tell that it's coming up. It's hard to find. So if y'all know, some of y'all in here are Black indie authors, when you have a book release coming up, please let me know. If you know other Black indie authors who have book releases coming up, please let me know, because this is something that I want to do since Tuesdays is publishing days. It only makes sense that since I'm a podcast about Black books, that I include Black indie authors in that process, especially since my podcast, even though it's for both trad and indie authors, y'all know I created this specifically for indie authors. So if you know of an indie release coming up, let me know about it, and I will post about it. So,
agreed.
But the challenge there is finding, it's finding the Black indie news release. So, and matter of fact, that might be what I call it, Black indie news release. So, but I'm working on the concept now. So, I need your help. I need y'all's ears and eyes out there, because I'm only one person. I can only see one thing. And
if you're open to it, to collaborating with the Melanin Library, I would definitely love to help with that, because I had literally been thinking about the same thing, because one of the things that gets brought up a lot is the fact that the Melanin Library is filled with a lot of traditionally published books, but it's just like, it's hard to find indie books. And then even when I do find them, it's sometimes hard to get them on the website, because sometimes, for better for worse, the reality of it is a lot of indie authors don't submit their own books. They just kind of like, they're like, either I didn't know that I could, or I don't know how, or what have you. And it's like, wanting to promote someone and being able to promote someone is not always one and the same. So if I can help with that, for sure, because I was like, I would love to do this, but also how? Because finding the books, and also keep in mind that a lot of indie releases don't release on Tuesday. They release throughout the week. So
yeah, so I mean, it might be something where it's, I have a newsletter that goes out once a week that has all of the releases, and then I will just do maybe like a Monday and a Friday segment where I say, these are books coming out this week, and these are books that are coming out. And then on Friday these are more books that came out this week. So having it at the beginning and end of the week, to sandwich in my content. So I'm thinking I probably need to figure out a logo for it that ties in with Between the Reads. But I need everybody's ears and eyes, because like I said, I'm only one person, and between us, Chelsea knows, but I am looking for a full-time job, and there's hopefully a possibility that I might have one soon. So if I do, then that's going to take up obviously my normal working hours. So everything that I do is going to have to be done in the evenings when I get home. and, or early mornings before I go to work. So that's going to make things, I'm going to have to scale back on Between the Reads, only do like in the new year, only do 2 episodes a month, not every single week. So I want this to be a part of that. So I'm going to need help.
Yeah. And also, for those of you who hop in the Melanin Chat, someone remind me to talk about the things that are coming in 2024, because there are a lot of things that we need to talk about, but I also don't want to put it on the internet at large. This is going to be a private conversation. So if you're not a part of the Patreon, again, sign up if you want to know. But Benjamin, I know that you're watching, babe, remind me to talk about that in the after chat. But all that being said, I'm like I said, I'm down to help. It reminds me of Kwame Mbalia's newsletter that goes out once a week, and it's like, hey, here are new books that are releasing this week, and it comes out every week, and it just has the book, the summary, and a link to go purchase it. So I'm thinking something like that, but we can definitely talk about it more in depth. There are also a couple things. So if you guys are book reviewers, I also have a question for you when we migrate over to the after chat, specifically about some things that are coming up in 2024. So slight reminder, but that being said, we've covered all the non-drama things.
We did it. We covered everything.
Good job.
Good job. High five, Chelsea.
Okay, so here's the drama, you guys. Here's the things that are going on. I'm sure that y'all know, because y'all bring it to us. Y'all bring attention to the attention of these things to us. Our attention to these things. There we go.
There you go, baby. You got it.
But one of the things that Vina mentioned in the comments that we have to talk about, kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. She said, I get annoyed when I see Black people on the cover of picture books and the author is a white woman, but I don't want to post the book titles to give them visibility. That is such a real thing on so many levels that we really need to talk about. Because one, if y'all have been on the internet, if y'all have been on TikTok, if y'all have been on Twitter, if y'all been on Instagram, if y'all have been anywhere in the bookish community over the last couple of days, you will know that Berkeley Romance is releasing 2 books. They are sports romances with a Black couple on the cover, but it's written by a white woman. And I'm not giving you the titles, but the author is Liz Tomford, I want to say. Tomford. So if you see her pop up on your timeline, not a black book, not a Black romance, don't buy into the hype, right? But the thing is, I feel like the whole conversation is what we were talking about earlier, about especially within romance and in children's books, there are so many people writing outside of their lane, and it's just like, yo, but the thing that makes the Berkeley Romance one so crazy is the fact that they are planning to release it in February. And we all know what February is officially. And it's just like, yo, why would you do that? The fact that they are intentionally banking on deceiving people, like their whole marketing strategy is based around deceit. It's like, that is a huge problem. And the fact that first of all, somebody thought this was okay. That's the whole issue. And it's just like, even after 2020 and all of these publishing companies talking about they're going to be better, why not just hire a Black author to write the book? Why just not purchase a Black romance? Why even do this to yourself? Because the thing is, I am literally like, you know what? At this point, I'm getting like so done with certain imprints where I'm just like, you know what? If this is how you think, if this is how the people in power think, I'm not buying any book from this imprint, period. And it's just like, I'm so sick of having to call people out and seeing people called out constantly for the same thing. Like, it wasn't okay before, it wasn't okay with this company, it wasn't okay then. And I'm like, too many of y'all have clearly never grown up with a sibling who did something stupid and you had to learn from it. That it's glaringly obvious. Like, learn from other people's mistakes, y'all. Y'all don't have to do the same thing to get the same result. You really don't. And it's just exhausting.
And it's like, how do you call it out without giving them traction? You know?
Honestly,
like, the only thing I can think of is that you go into the DMs of your friends and be like, listen, here's the author, don't buy the book. Yeah. You know, and don't talk about it, because that's going to give them traction. That's the only way I can think of.
And the thing is, it's like, That's why I'm telling you guys it's Liz Tomford from Berkeley Romance. I'm not saying the title of the book because I don't want you to go look it up. And if you do, you're going to have to do your own research. But if you see Liz Tomford come across your timeline, your feed or whatever, know that this is a racist white woman and you should not support her by any means necessary. Period. That's what it is. And it's just like... It's exhausting as a black person, especially when black romance is a whole genre and indie authors are killing it. Like there's too many options for you to go and read a genuine black romance, for you to settle for something that's not that. Because the thing is, I don't care what anybody says, I don't care what anybody thinks. I stand by what I'm about to say, and that is black romance is not the same as romance of any other culture. It is not the same. Every culture has nuance. Every culture is different. So when you have two black people in a relationship together, it is going to look different from two white people in a relationship together. It's going to look different from two Asian people or two Indian people. And I mean actual Indian from India. Okay. It's going to look different because how people interact with others who are of the same culture as them is completely different from people who are interacting outside of that. So even if this Liz Tomford person has been in an interracial relationship, well, guess what? That's a whole different conversation than a black romance. Okay. She does not know what that is. That is not her lane. And you see where I'm going with this? She could just like stay swerved out of it. Like, in all honesty, she could just mind her business.
Honestly, this country was built on the backs of black people. The economy that they have, the money that has been made, the wealth that this country has is because of black people. So this is just rude and disrespectful because now you can't write your own shit because your stories are lackluster and boring. And you know that black culture runs everything. So now you're writing and using black people and black culture to make yet more money off of us.
Yep.
And these the same people that probably come out their mouth and call people the N-word and clutch their purse when they see a black person walk by, bonk their car, to lock it when a black person is anywhere near them, just do all the Karen microaggressions and macroaggressions, but you out here writing whole ass books about black people, making money off of us.
Yep.
And that's what annoys the frick out of me with this nonsense.
Yeah. And it's just like, my thing is there's no reason to write it. There's no reason to write it. There's no reason to read it. And there's no such thing as hate reading. Here's the thing, you guys. If you spend money, unless you're pirating the book, there is no way to hate read a book and not support the author. Because you know what you're doing when you hate read it, when you read it on Kindle Unlimited, when you get it from your library, when you purchase it,
you're giving it power.
You're giving money to the author. And when you talk about it, and you talk about it in detail, you're giving the author promotion. That's what you're doing. There is no way to talk about the book without talking about the book and getting more people interested in it. And so it's just kind of like sometimes the best thing is to suffocate it, is to let it die,
Rob it of oxygen.
And it's like Uzumaki brought in, and I love your username, by the way. Love it. What kills me is a lot of black women supported and capped for that book. And the thing is, I say this all the time, and I stand by it, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. And I have learned to navigate this world a certain way, because if this is the type of book that you enjoy, if this is the type of book that you support, if this is the type of book that you like you said, are behind supporting 100%, we not friends. I don't like you. I'm gonna say that definitively. We're not friends. I don't like you. We can be cordial because I know how to be polite. But I don't deal with you on any kind of level, because if there's a line in the sand, and at some point you have to stand on one side of it. And the thing is, if when you give people permission to disrespect you, that's like giving permission to be like, oh, okay, it doesn't matter that you are appropriating someone else's culture. It doesn't matter that you are taking space from someone else. It doesn't matter that what you're doing morally is wrong. I'm just about it because it suits my own needs, or, oh, I know that person and she's really nice. I don't give a... Nah, homie. Nah, homie. It's just
Yep, and Miss Woman of Color Reader says some people want black books that aren't really black. Exactly, because then they just want to say, well, I read diversely. No, bitch, you read books by white authors who write about black people that they don't know shit about. That's not reading diversely.
language, ma'am. Family friendly.
I'm sorry.
Family friendly show.
I'm sorry. My bad. I've censored myself up until this point. But,
She meant what she said, doggone it. No, that, like, honestly, though, yeah, 100%. Like, the thing about reading diversely is you have to step outside of your comfort zone. Boom, that's it. It's not about reading about someone else's imagining of a culture when they are not a part of it. It's about actually taking the time to listen to someone tell you a story. It's a difference between he said, she said, and, for lack of a better term, hearing it straight from the horse's mouth. There are two completely different situations, but I digress. There are other things that I wanted to touch on, but, you know, if you see the book, don't pick it up. Do your research. And also, I'm going to say that if you find books, because one of the things that I'm heavily considering is making I don't want to say like a blacklist, but making a non-black list for the Melanin Library, where it's just like, yeah, these authors write books about black characters and they are not one of us. Like, but I don't know.
Call it the non-black black book list.
Yeah, call it the double black list. Huh? How about that?
No, because then people might think, oh, it's really black. No, it needs to be like non-black blackness, you know, or non-black black book, or
I'm gonna call it the imposter syndrome.
Black and white.
Yeah, the black and white list. Anyway, I'll come up with something clever, but I'm thinking about it. I might not actually do it, but I'm thinking about it because I feel like
you don't. I will.
See, that's why this is why y'all got to be careful about choosing a partner in crime, because they're like, you be over here trying to keep the peace, and they be like, I choose chaos. Okay,
chaos every day. Listen,
every day.
If we don't ride hard for ourselves, who will? I will put that shit up on.
See, already.
So fast.
We moving on because she get too hype. Okay. There's so much stuff that we still have to talk about, but it is technically 10:58. Audra, how are you feeling?
Blackface list. Ooh, that's a good one.
Ooh, okay. The unseasoned list. Okay. I'm gonna call it the boiled chicken list. That's what I'm calling it. That I wanted to talk about, you guys, but we will have to save them for a later date because we did not get to talk about the writer's strike. But here's some highlights. The
band Black Book, the celebrities, they got together and wrote a letter talking about how, you know, banning books is like restricting our rights, and I forgot that one. Yeah, so I will leave links in the description box below since we didn't get to it. So just once this live ends, just refresh the page, and there will be links down there, and like within the next 2 to 3 minutes after we stop the live. But the writer's strike has tentatively come to an end. They have come to an agreement. There are a couple of articles here that I have that you guys can reference. I've been mostly following it through Tanana Reeve Dew. She's been posting about it on all of her socials. So I will leave a link to the actual HuffPost article that I saw about it. I will also do the article for the celebrities who signed the book banning. I will leave the article for that down in the description box as well. That was Audra. She sent that to me, so be sure to check it out. And then Black authors not having a website. We'll have to talk about that a different day. Also, yeah, but real quick, please have a website. I mean, we did talk about it. I did mention it earlier that you need to have it. You need to have it because if you come to me and I can't find your presence online, and if you want to be anonymous, that's cool. But you're gonna have to send me a picture so that I know that you're Black. Because if you ain't Black, you ain't coming on my show. You ain't getting featured on my show. You ain't getting featured on my page. None of it.
Same thing for the Melanin Library. If you guys have seen the submit form, there is a place where it's like, hey, send us a link to your website where you have a photo. And if you are anonymous, email us at this email address to a personal picture that we will not share. But it's like, we need to know that you are Black, because that's what this platform is for. And unfortunately, people lie. So I can't just take your word for it. Other things, there are other things that I want to talk about, but I'll probably save that for later, because you guys did bring up some. Yeah, because you guys did bring up some really great topics, or me and Audra may talk about them on the Rants and Rambles on Thursday. So, if you are not signed up for the after chat and you would like to be in the live audience for Rants and Rambles, then I suggest that you sign up for it, because if you are, you do get a chance to be a part of the live audience for the Rants and Rambles. You will also join the after chat. $5 gets you in, and that's where we get kind of messy. It is not PG-13. It is fully adult, so make sure that you get into it, have fun, and there you will also be supporting the Melanin Library and what me and Audra do. So, get into that. If you haven't already, make sure you check out Audra's channel. Between the Reads, there's a link down in the description box below. Check out her podcast. Check out Between the Reads, Staying on Code.
Check out our episode today with me and Chelsea.
Yeah.
As Ben said, we start off laughing. We really do, because
that's what we do.
She's Chelsea. Because she's Chelsea and she's funny as hell.
I mean, I don't got no good sense, and I know that. She knew that when she decided to befriend me, so it's fine. She made this choice.
I have no regrets.
None. Okay. That being said, you guys, if you are still here, please go ahead, like this stream. If you're watching this in the future, go ahead and comment. Let us know what you thought about the topics, and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss when we go live. We do this every other Tuesday.
You, Chelsea, will be at Resist Booksellers Saturday.
Yes. This coming Saturday. So
if you're in Richmond area, near the Richmond area,
Petersburg, Virginia. I will be there, and this will be my last in-person event for 2023, most likely, and most of 2024, because the way I feel right now, oh, your girl is wiped out. But I did have a really great release day promo thing. We've been going somewhere every weekend in September. I got to participate in the book festival in Richmond. I also got to do a couple of interviews on live, and I am going to end everything up by visiting Resist Booksellers. And y'all know that I absolutely love Resist. I love Demetrius. I love supporting a Black-owned bookstore, and you can get my books from there, support a Black-owned bookstore, all of that good stuff. But yes, that is it. That is the whole thing. So, do all the things, click the buttons, check out the description, click all the links, and we are headed to the after chat. So, until next time, you guys, hope your days are lovely and your books are interesting.